good evening, everyone. Welcome to Dirt Track Racing coverage of the Speedweeks at the Volusia Speedway Park. This is Ed Lamberton, and we're going to run down what turned out to be an exciting night of racing at Volusia. The Super Dirt Car Series finally got their first 2008 feature in the books last night, and Justin Hares, who started in the front row, led the first 22 laps until an oil line broke, and he was forced to pit, handing over the lead to Stuart Friesen, who had just arrived at the Speedway after posting the fifth fastest time of the final practice in NASCAR truck practice at Daytona International Speedway. So Stewie doing double duty here, running up and down the road. It's just, well, if the traffic is right, he can make it in a half hour, but he got there just in time to strap in and had worked his way to the front of the field after starting in the seventh spot and was closing in on Hares before Hares broke. So we didn't get a chance to see the battle there, but I think Stewart had a better car, and he possibly would have passed Hares even if Hares hadn't broke. But we'll never know, as Hares had to pit. Well, Friesen took the lead, and he led comfortably, again, having looking to be the best car here, until he entered the first turn on lap 26 with just 4 laps to go, and the right rear tire exploded on Stewie's mount, bringing out the yellow flag. And on the restart, young Tyler Seary, of course, he and his family are the new operators of the Outlaw Speedway, well, for 2 years now, and they're doing a tremendous job out there just south of Geneva, New York. And Tyler out-dragged Tim McCready and drove away from the field to pick up his first ever win at Volusia. I think he's only been down here maybe twice before. So young Tyler Seary doing a great job and picking up a big win on the first night of action here. McCready was runner-up with the venerable, ageless Jimmy Horton in third. Finishing in the fourth spot was the Doctor, Danny Johnson, and Pat Ward, another one of the oldest veterans down here, coming home in the top 5. And it was a good run for Max McLaughlin, who finished in the 6th spot. Then it was H.J. Bunning, J.R. Hefner, who had started towards the front, Ryan Watt, and Larry White rounding out the top 10. Having some difficulties, some of the hot shoes who have not didn't get off to a good start in the first night of feature racing. Jimmy Phelps finishing back in 24th spot, and defending champion of the Super Dirt Car Series, Matt Shepard, has just been off his feet a little bit and had some problems and pulled out and finished back in the 25th position, next to last. So not a good start for Shepard, but he, as you see, will turn things around a little bit in the second feature event, which, of course, the event we just finished up talking about was held over from the night before when we got fogged out. The regular 30-lap event ran last night and with no fog, and got things in, and it turned out to be another great race. As remember old Justin Hares, who looked like he was on his way to the win in the first one? Well, he repaired the broken oil line, came back and qualified up in the front, started in the front, and took off and led the early laps. And then Tim McCready, who had started up in 4th spot, worked his way up to duel with Hares, and that was a great run. Those were both really good friends. Those guys both live out in the western part of New York. But Justin had a great car, as did Timmy, and they swapped the lead back and forth. It was really interesting. And then all of a sudden we added Stuart Friesen to the deal. He came from his 8th starting spot to challenge for the lead. So it was a 3-car battle in the last few laps, and it was a great race to watch. Hares faded a little bit, and the last 3 laps saw Tim McCready literally bouncing off the wall in turn 2. He had every lap, the last 3 laps, and he apologized to all his crew members afterwards that, he made a few mistakes that last lap, but he was just on it. The old elbows up, if you will. T-Mac was up against the wall all the way around the first and second turn, and he was rolling. Stewie was right there. If he had ever made any kind of big mistake, Stewart would have had him. But those were 2 cars were pretty damn equal when it came right down to it, and it was a great, great battle. But in the end, T-Mac was not to be denied as he took right to the top, and it was a great finish. Stewie finished second. And also on the charge was the doctor, Danny Johnson, who had started deep in the field. He started 15th, arguably one of the better cars there, too, as well, as the doctor had to settle for third, but they were all up pounding the outside cushion. It was a tremendous race to watch. T-Mac picking up his second Gator of the week as he won the opening World of Outlaw late model race the previous night on Wednesday night, and coming back and winning one of the Super Dirt Series events in his limited modified deal now, but he shows he can still get a modified around, and it was a great event, that's for sure. And they'll be doing it all again coming up tonight, and then one more time on Saturday for the finale of 50 Lapper, and we'll see who is the hot shoe in that. But continuing with the finish, it was McCready, Friesen, Danny Johnson, Justin Hares was fourth, and young Mike Mahaney doing a great job with his Buzz True number 88, finishing in fifth. Shepard showing a little more strength and being a little bit more like what we expected out of Shepard, finishing up in the sixth spot. Billy Pouch was seventh. Ryan Watt, Brett Kesley, and Billy Van Wigan rounding out the top 10. Pat Ward slipped back after he had started up towards the front to 11th. And having some issues so far early on in Volusa's racing activity is Brett Hearn. Hearn finishing back in the pack again in the second feature, finishing back in 23rd spot. So some hot shoes. And Billy Decker has been off so far with his Jeremy Smith car, and we're looking for a turnaround with Billy. He's not used to running around in the back, but he finished back in 16th spot in the second event, and he was back there as well in the first event. So some little surprises with Decker being off, Hearn being off. Remember, Hearn was off similar to this 2 years ago, and he came home and dusted him in the final 50-lap event, which pays the most money. So we'll see how that all turns out. I'm sure Hearn's not going to be satisfied running in the back of the pack, but it'll be interesting to see what happens here the next couple of nights. But some great racing for the opening rounds of the Super Dirt Car Series. Also, to tag on to that, racing in the late models was also a tremendous race. We had a 50-lap World of Outlaw late model event where Dale McDowell drove by defending World of Outlaw champ Brandon Shepard for an upset win. Chris Madden started up in the front. He led early until Shepard, that is Brandon Shepard, who said the defending champion of the series, took the point and looked like, okay, here we go, another win. He won 18 features on the series last year, and it looked like it was going to be a snoozer as Shepard drove away. However, late on in the event, the caution bunched up the cars, and things changed quickly as McDowell, who had started back in 15th and rocketed his way up through the field, got a great restart and got by Shepard on the restart and held on for the win. That was his third win at Volusa, but his last one here was in 1999. You figure it out. 19 years ago that Dale McDowell set in the, and he is a veteran, obviously, but it was 19 years since the last win, so tremendous win. He had been struggling all week. We've seen Dale at a lot of the late model races this week, and he was well, similar to what Brett Hearn has been doing in the in the modifieds. He's just been off, but man, they found something, and he was on a rail and picked up the win. Jonathan Davenport, the hottest driver down here in the late models Speedweeks, came from 10th to finish 3rd, so a lot of passing going on, a tremendous race if you're a late model fan, that's for sure. And Wednesday night's winner, T-Mac, as we had said, he had a tough night qualifying, started back, he won the B main, so he started back in 18th and drove all his way to 7th, so pretty big night for T-Mac, with a win and a second in the modified, and coming from 18th to finish 7th in the late model event. And T-Mac, I'm sure, will be a competitor in both divisions the remainder of the week here, with 2 more nights of racing on tonight and tomorrow night, and then they will wrap things up. But some tremendous racing at Volusia after all the fog and the rain and whatever, so it's been great. Now, over at the big track last night at the Daytona International Speedway, it was a young movement taking reins and picking up the wins. Ryan Blaney, driving for Penske Racing, picked up the dual qualifying event number 1. He was followed by teammate Joey Logano. Bubba Wallace, the new driver for Richard Petty Racing, finishing 3rd. Ricky Stenhouse and Kurt Busch were the top 5. Several drivers were involved in crashes in Duel 1, and they will have to go to a backup in Sunday's 500. Those include Jimmy Johnson, who has just had terrible luck here at Daytona the last couple of years. Jimmy, that is, cut a tire and took out Eric Amarillo as well when he crashed. They both will go to backup cars on Sunday, starting in the back. William Bryan, the young star for Joe Gibbs Racing, crashed when Ricky Stenhouse took some air off his spoiler. David Gilliland also had the same thing happen to him, as Stenhouse was pretty aggressive heading towards the front and took the air off both William Bryan and Gilliland. They both will go to backup cars. And so Ricky Stenhouse probably not making a lot of friends last night. And the pole sitter, the fast qualifier back on Sunday's qualifying, Brad Keselowski, also crashed with just 3 laps left and will have to start in the back of the pack on Sunday himself. So some big changes there, certainly with Bad Brad starting in the back instead of the front on Sunday. And in the second duel, it was young Chase Elliott picked up the win in the second one, followed by Kevin Harvick, Eric Jones, Clint Boyer, and Kyle Busch. So both the Busch boys finishing in the top 5 in their respective 150s. And that one, after seeing the carnage in the first one, those boys took it a little more easy, and there was only 1 caution in Duel 2. And but it's at least one big name that will have to use a backup car on Sunday. So Kyle Larson will join that group in the back. So you got Kyle Larson, Jimmy Johnson, Brad Keselowski, all starting in the back of the 500. Not that really means a lot. Guys have won from the back there because it's a long race, but those guys are getting off to a bad start with crashes last night. As we said, they will be back at it for the big one, the Daytona 500 on Sunday. And tonight, of course, it's the Truck Series. The Camping World Truck Series will kick off their 2018 season. And yesterday in practice, our own Stuart Friesen was 5th quick in the final practice, and they will be qualifying today at 4:45 on FS1 on TV, and then they'll be racing starting at 7:30 also on FS1. So if you're not down here and can't go to Volusia to watch some dirt racing and still want to see Stewie race, tune in TV or go to the races if you're down here. But so lots of things to do tonight for our Northeast fans. But we'll be heading again to Volusia to see some tremendous dirt racing. Hopefully it can be as good as it was last night. So we'll be back tomorrow to wrap up all the activities at Volusia and, of course, to see where our favorite son, Stuart Friesen, finishes in the Truck Series. Hopefully much, much better than last year. Remember, last year he crashed their first or second lap at Daytona and finished almost dead last. So hopefully that'll change. He has a better truck this year, and looks like he's going to, I predict he definitely will finish in the top 10 and maybe even pull a win off. So good luck to Stewie tonight, and we'll be watching the rest of the boys go at it. So he won't be in competition on the dirt. So some of the other competitors will breathe a sigh of relief, I guess, because he has one of the best cars. That new DKM chassis looks awesome so far at Volusia. So we'll be back tomorrow to give you a wrap-up on the activities here in Daytona and the Florida Speedweeks up at Volusia, the Dirt Car Nationals. Until then, this is Ed Lamberton for Dirt Track Racing Network. We'll see you tomorrow.
Today's Speed Week update is brought to you by Wheel People with Ed Lamberton, live on Dirt Track Racing Network and dirtfund.me, your crowdfunding solution to dirt racing. Stop by dirtfund.me and create your campaign for micro sponsorships today.
Number 44, Halmar Racing Team Dirt Modified, and 52, Halmar Friesen Racing NASCAR Camping World Truck. We started the 44 Dirt Modified race team with Chris Larson and Halmar International just over 2 years ago now. We have 2 Dirt Modified seasons under our belt. We're able to win a lot of big races together. We have some great product sponsors. Just joining up with Integra Shocks, and we're back with Draco Springs this year, which is big. And you know, great crew members. Obviously, my buddy Bart DeRocha at Bart Contracting is involved, and you know, there's just a whole list of friends and family that are involved in this field to keep it going. You know, obviously Halmar and the We Build America program is big on the truck side of it, and we're looking forward to you know, increasing the We Build America and I guess increasing the outreach and stuff of that whole program as the Truck Series rolls along this year. With HFR, we've realigned ourselves with GMF again, which is a super powerhouse of a truck team. Have some great teammates there, Johnny Sauter, Justin Haley. So we'll look at more of the same. We'll probably do 55 to 60 modified races again, and then the whole truck schedule on top of that. The boys are working in the background right now. We're getting the 2 modifieds ready to go to Volusia for the Dirt Car Nationals. We start next Tuesday. We race Tuesday night, Wednesday, Thursday. We'll take Friday night off and compete in the Truck Series race at Daytona, and then we'll go back for the 50-lapper on Saturday. Our backup car's loaded up, and the guys are just making finishing touches on our primary car, and we'll be hitting the road here tomorrow. I hope you follow along. We'll have lots of posts on Facebook, Instagram, all the other social media, lots of video. So looking forward to having all the race fans that can't make it to Florida following along from home, and we'll see you next week. I'm not really that bad of a guy. How'd you make out at the Super Bowl party? Didn't win nothing? What are you doing over there in the corner? What? What are you doing over there in the corner? What's that? I don't know. drag it all the way around. Yeah, unscrew myself.
How do you feel about Fig Newton?
Fig Newton or Fig Newton?
little thing with the prism made of.
I don't even know what a Fig Newton is.
What's going through your mind there at the end of that race when you see Stewie has the problems, you see Justin have the issues, and all of a sudden, holy crap, I'm the race leader?
Well, believe it or not, we set the thing up for the long haul. Usually I'm the short haul. And, Justin was really fast. Hate to see him have bad luck. But actually, once Stewie and I got going, I thought I was catching him and I could put a slang job on him. I tried a couple times and, wasn't quite there. But once in the last couple laps, the car felt really good on the top, 1 and 2, and on the bottom in 3 and 4. And I thought we had a really good piece to bring it home.
Tyler Sherry, ladies and gentlemen, give a hand one more time. Your feature winner, again, Tyler Sherry. Blake, over to you with our second place finisher.
Yeah, we'll grab Tim McCready here in just a second.
Ice cream. That's a stretcher. Look at Tabby said ice cream too.
Oh, very nice.
Stop playing. I look like I need ice cream. You look like you want ice cream.
Grab Jimmy Cormick in court here, just like a TV guy. Busy with a couple of them.
Tyler Series, first career win with the Super Dirt Car Series. Tim McCready comes home in that second spot, and Jamie Horton charges to a third place run. We'll slide over and grab Tim McCready. And Tim McCready rolled off sixth. Tim, a great run for you, especially, he told us yesterday you hadn't brought the Big Block Modified down here in about a decade, so not a bad start to your week with the Big Block.
Yeah, I just got to thank Beck. Everybody does this. I don't have much time to give them in there because I'm running around trying to get both cars going, and I think we're missing just a little bit because I probably don't have good enough feedback to help them. So the good thing is we got another run coming up fairly quick, and I think what we're going to do, hopefully we'll make it a little bit in the racetrack where I need it to be so I can charge a little harder, and with this Swedish car, one spot better.
You think you're maybe in the right spot there? Justin broke leading and Stewart broke leading at 4 to go. We had a short run from Chester.
Yeah, been a lucky week so far, so I thought, man, anything could happen the way it's going. I know
We're trying to get up there now.